and this has broken us in ways that I did not think possible.
In Volusia County, Florida, a tragic and emotionally charged court hearing concluded with 17-year-old Gregory Ramos being sentenced to 45 years in prison for the murder of his mother, Gail Clevenger. The case dates back to when Ramos was 15 years old, at which time he confessed to strangling his mother following a dispute over his grades. He then buried her body, an act that he later admitted to law enforcement. The motive revealed in the investigation painted a picture of a domestic situation that tragically escalated beyond recovery.
Gregory, I see Gail. That is her face. I haven't seen it in 3 years, I think. The past 2 years have been extremely difficult for our family, and this has broken us in ways that I did not think possible.
During the sentencing hearing, the emotional weight of the crime was palpable. Family members delivered heartfelt testimonies about the impact of Gail Clevenger's death on their lives.
There are so many conversations that I want to have with her, but now cannot. I'll never be able to ask her how she met my father or what happened to her in New York. Every day I try my hardest to honor my mother's memory. I try to live the way that she would want to be lived.
Ramos's grandmother recounted her fond memories of him as a child.
As soon as I would walk in, I would say, "Hello, Mr. Sunshine," because when he would see me, he'd have a big smile on his face. Just a happy, happy little boy.
The courtroom was a tableau of grief and conflicted emotions. Family members expressed their profound loss and the irreplaceable void left by Clevenger's death. Sheriff Mike Chitwood reflected on the case's severity, acknowledging the permanent loss suffered by the family and the community.
A mother and a daughter is lost, a sister she's lost, and a son, a grandson, and a nephew are all taken away because of this senseless, brutal act.
He deemed the 45-year sentence appropriate, given the circumstances and the brutal nature of the crime. Gregory Ramos's sentence of 45 years, which will be subject to review after 25 years, followed by a lifetime on probation, marks an end to his story.
114.
In a Jacksonville, Florida courtroom, a poignant and heart-wrenching moment occurred during the sentencing of Aiden Fucci, who at 14 years old brutally murdered 13-year-old Tristan Bailey, stabbing her 114 times. The emotional weight of the crime was underscored by a symbolic gesture from Tristan's family, particularly her sister, who placed 114 heart-shaped stones into a glass jar, one for each wound Tristan suffered.
This jar now holds 114 stones, one for each of the 114 stab wounds that my sister had to endure.
Tristan Bailey, last seen in her cheerleading uniform on Mother's Day 2 years ago, was reported missing after being spotted on surveillance footage walking with Fucci. Her body was later discovered in a secluded wooded area, leading to Fucci's arrest. Disturbingly, Fucci had been active on social media after the murder, posting a selfie from the back of a police car and making light of the situation, which sparked outrage and further pain for Tristan's family.
I'm having fun. Up hard.
During Fucci's sentencing, the gravity of his actions was palpably felt throughout the courtroom as each of Tristan's siblings and her parents participated in the stone-dropping ceremony, marking the profound impact of each stab wound inflicted upon her. The courtroom was enveloped in silence as the stones clinked against the glass, each drop a somber reminder of the young life brutally taken. The judge, unmoved by Fucci's handwritten apology stating his remorse, sentenced him to life in prison, the maximum penalty allowable under Florida law for his heinous act.
There is only one appropriate sentence in this case. I sentence you to life in prison.
Outside the courtroom, Tristan's family donned in teal, the victim's favorite color, and shirts celebrating her memory, expressed their relief and approval of the verdict, emphasizing the justice served for Tristan's untimely and violent death. The sentencing brought some closure to Tristan's family and the community, though the scars of such a brutal crime linger. Fucci will spend his life in prison.
Currently, a high school junior who formulates a plan, or high schooler that formulates a plan with his friend, and murders a Spanish teacher is a dangerous person to the community.
In a grave legal conclusion that has captured national attention, two teenagers, Willard Miller and Jeremy Goodale, were sentenced to life in prison for the murder of their high school Spanish teacher, Nohema Graber, in Fairfield, Iowa.
I'm so sorry. 2 years ago, I made the worst decision of my life. and I take full responsibility for what I did. What I've taken can never be replaced. Every day I wish I could go back and stop myself, prevent this loss and this pain that I've caused everyone.
The case, marked by its brutality and the youth of the offenders, has prompted a deep examination of the motives and consequences of such a heinous act. The murder took place in 2021 when Miller and Goodale, both 16 at the time, killed Graber due to a dispute over a bad grade. The teacher's body was found concealed under a tarp, alongside a wheelbarrow and railroad ties, illustrating the premeditated nature of the crime. The courtroom was a scene of mixed emotions. Statements from the family conveyed forgiveness and sorrow, while the defendants expressed remorse for their actions. The community and broader public have been left to grapple with the unsettling details of the murder, including the misuse of social media by the defendants to brag about their actions, which the prosecution pointed out in court.
I'd like to take this opportunity to wholeheartedly accept responsibility for the role that I've played in the murder of Nahima Graber. I would like to apologize for my actions, first and foremost, to the family. I'm sincerely sorry for the distress that I've caused you and the devastation I've caused your family. From the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry for your loss.
The sentencing of Miller and the upcoming sentencing of Goodale mark significant milestones in this tragic case. As they face life in prison with the possibility of parole after 35 years, the community continues to reflect on the factors that could drive such young individuals to commit such a violent act.
Next, Las Vegas, Nevada, becomes the focal point of a deeply unsettling case that has captured the attention of both local residents and the wider public. Jesus Ayala, 18, and Jammer Keys, 16, stand accused of a crime that has left the community and the nation reeling. Their alleged involvement in the hit-and-run incident that claimed the life of Andreas Probst, a retired California police chief. The demeanor of Ayala and Keys in court, characterized by laughter and disrespect towards the victim's family, only adds a layer of disdain to their already notorious profile. Andreas Probst, a figure of law, order, and community service, met an untimely and violent end while cycling in Las Vegas on August 14. His career in law enforcement, marked by dedication to public safety and justice, stands in stark contrast to the actions of his accused killers. The courtroom behavior of Ayala and Keys, including mocking gestures and laughter, has ignited outrage and deepened the sorrow of the Probst family. Taylor and Crystal Probst, wife and daughter of the deceased, have been vocal in their dismay and disbelief at the accused apparent lack of remorse.
How can you sit there after taking a man's life and act like such an entitled They really have no remorse that this is just a game to them.
The court proceedings for Ayala and Keys are set for September 16, 2024, nearly a year after the tragic incident. As the trial date approaches, the community, the media, and all those touched by the tragedy await the outcome with bated breath.
I will never get to see my baby brother graduate high school, go to college, graduate college, get married, have children. I will never be an aunt, and my children will never know their uncle.
On February 27, 2012, the quiet community of Chardon, Ohio, was shattered by an unthinkable act of violence. Chardon High School, typically a place of learning and friendship, became the scene of a devastating shooting that would leave 3 students dead and others injured. TJ Lane, an 18-year-old student, was at the heart of this tragedy. On that fateful day, Lane, waiting for a bus to an alternative school, opened fire on unsuspecting students, claiming the lives of Daniel Parmenter, 16, Demetrius Hewlin, 16, and Russell King Jr., 17. The attack also left 3 other students wounded, one of whom, Nick Walczak, was paralyzed after being shot multiple times. The reasons behind Lane's actions remain murky. His arrival at the sentencing hearing in a shirt emblazoned with the word "killer" and his crude, defiant outburst in court only added to the enigma of his motives. His lack of remorse and apparent disdain for the gravity of his actions were chilling. Lane was handed 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole, a small measure of justice for the irreparable harm he had caused. The courtroom was charged with emotion as family members of the victims confronted the reality of their loss, facing the perpetrator who showed no sign of regret.
I will be glad knowing his existence every day, every minute, every breath is controlled by rules, and that he is away from society, locked up in a cage like the animal he is.
Lane's behavior in court, including smirking and laughing at the grieving families, underscored the monstrous nature of his actions. Lane now serves out the rest of his life at Warren Correctional Institution.
Thanks for watching. We hope that you found this information both informative and engaging. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you never miss a new video.